winning, so nobody will lose. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, Miko. Just let it out. Let it out. Hi guys, welcome back again to my YouTube channel. As always, I'm excited having you guys tuned into this YouTube channel, and today I'm joined by
Family.
So today we're going to be diving into the reaction. Don't forget to also join our membership, like, subscribe, and comment on this YouTube channel. See you on the video. Let's go.
Yes, that time that communists tried to starve an entire city, so America and the UK teamed up to deliver 4.6 billion pounds of food and supplies to that city using nothing but cargo planes.
Whoa.
Today we're talking about the biggest economic and logistical flex of all time, America's Operation Vittles and the UK's Operation Plainfield, coming together to be known as the Berlin Airlift. But first, a word from our sponsor. This video is brought to you by Henson's Shaving. Okay, here's the deal. Henson's is a family-owned machine shop that makes parts for the aerospace industry. There's literally parts on the Mars rover that these guys made, and one day they woke up and they're like, hey, we're just gonna make the most precise safety razor on the market. And this is it. This is all they sell. It comes in aluminum or titanium. If you want to pay extra, it comes with a little stand. And then they also sell the razor blades, so you have a one-stop shop, not because their razor blades are proprietary, because this thing will take any shaving razor blade on the market. You don't have to buy their proprietary cartridge. You don't have to sign up for their monthly delivery video. All right, important background info. After World War II, the Allied forces took control of Germany, and it was split into pretty much 4 different chunks. The Soviets got a piece, America got a piece, the French and the British both got a piece. Here's a map of that right here. Okay, here's where it gets a little weird. Berlin was also split into 4 equal chunks. The problem with that was Berlin was 100 miles into the Soviet territory, so you have this little tiny speck on the map of British, French, and American territory completely surrounded by the USSR. While that is weird, it wasn't really a problem because right after World War II, everybody was still an ally, so America, the British, and the French had no problems using the roadways and the trains to get food and supplies to their section of Berlin. Now, just so we're all on the same page, Berlin, and essentially all of Germany to a slightly lesser extent, is essentially a third world country at this point in time. Berlin in particular has essentially been turned into rubble from Allied bombings. The entire German economy is in the toilet, and all of the German people are not getting a lot of sympathy from the global community because, well, they kind of started it. Now, with the Allied forces in control of Germany, it is their job and their responsibility to help take care of the German people. Now, the Western powers, America, Great Britain, and France, they're all on the same page. They all have the same game plan. They want to go in, render aid in the short term to the German people, then in the long term, help prop up their economy, get them back on their own feet, and then they can leave. The USSR, on the other hand, aka the communists, absolutely hate that idea. The last thing a bunch of communists want is people being able to take care of themselves, so they step in and they're like, no, absolutely not. We're going to build a communist utopia out of this place. So, in order to stop the Western powers from helping Germany, they decide that they're going to print billions and billions of Reichsmarks, the German currency. They devalue the currency so there's so much money that it's no longer a store of value, to the point that it literally takes a wheelbarrow full of money to buy a loaf of bread. Because of this, they already...
This information are true.
Yeah, I saw this thing once online and I was like, are you serious?
Oh my God.
Wait, let me give you a very big fact about Fat Electrician. Every single thing he says is based on facts, with evidence. And that is why I always watch his videos.
Because they're quite sensitive and I want to be sure he knows what he's saying.
Definitely. Like, but on the second thought, a wheelbarrow full of cash for a loaf of bread.
That's not
Imagine you're buying a car.
That's economical wreck.
Like, they're printing money like they're printing clothes.
I feel like if you're buying a car, you're coming with a full cargo ship to pay.
You pay for your car.
Sorry about that. I know this was a real issue back then.
Yeah,
So
it was a problem.
but the idea of it is quite funny though.
struggling German economy completely collapses and a black market sets in, and the new currency for Germany is essentially cigarettes and food. And this goes on for like 2 years with the West trying to negotiate with the USSR on how to proceed. And during that time, the people of Berlin are quite literally starving and freezing to death, with the average Berliner eating less than 1,000 calories a day. Eventually, the West steps in and they're like, fuck it, we're just gonna do it without the communists because we have to help these people. So they create a new type of currency for Germany known as the Deutschmark, and it's gonna be seen as a real store of value and help rebuild the German economy. The Soviets find out about this and they freak out, basically break all diplomatic communication with the Western powers, and they officially want to break up and just have East versus West, capitalism versus communism, hungry versus fed. This is where the Cold War really starts kicking off. And the first ideological battleground of the Cold War is going to be Berlin, because remember, it's 100 miles into Soviet territory, and a big chunk of it is still controlled by the Western powers. So the Soviets decide they need to take over that part of Berlin too. They can't have a little speck of capitalism in their communist utopia. Now, luckily for the communists, it's an easy fix. They really don't have to do anything, because the minute the West Berliners see what a communist utopia really looks like, they're going to willfully and freely denounce capitalism and run over and become communists too, right?
Yeah.
Wrong. That's never going to happen, because communism sucks. It's always sucked, and it's always going to suck. So the communists are going to do what they always do. They are going to basically present West Berlin the option: join or we will attempt to kill you. Because if you don't know, that's the dirty little secret to communism. They always talk about seizing the means of production. What they never bother to tell you is that people are also part of that means of production, and they will seize you too. So that's exactly what they do. They attempt to seize West Berlin. They blockade it off from the Western powers. They cut off every road, every railway, and every waterway so that the Western powers cannot get West Berlin food or any other supplies. And then they cut off the power to that section of the city, quite literally freezing and starving them to death until they comply. So obviously this is a diplomatic and humanitarian disaster. All the military leadership runs over to President Truman and they're like, hey, what do you want?
I still want to understand the fact is, how do we come to a point in life where few people get to decide how a million people live?
Yeah.
Like, it seems
But
like
we
you're
are
in my
still
head.
at that point. Really, we are
It does
still
not
there.
make sense.
Doesn't.
People make decisions for your life, literally.
Literally.
That's the power play now.
That's leadership. I mean, there's something the leaders can decide to do, and then millions of people are going down
be
for it.
affected.
Even if you are aware or not, you are consent to it or not, it's just going to affect you.
Come on, people are voting you guys in or choosing you to be their leaders. Put them into consideration. Don't just take decisions that you feel is good for you or it looks bad to you
It's good for your pocket.
or it's good for your
for your
pocket.
pocket.
Think about them. They chose you for the betterment of their lives, not your life, their life.
That's what you know. The difference between governance now and governance then is, then it was for the people. Now it's for the
Has it ever really been for the people?
It has never been
It has
for the
never
people.
been for the
It
people.
was.
Well,
In this case, it is
Like,
history.
no.
This is
Yeah.
history.
No, like when I mean then was back then, like
Then,
when
then,
society
yeah,
was starting
before
up.
they
Oh.
started
You
playing
know,
the
okay,
what
whole
before
built
this
this
political
structure, the
Yeah.
foundation of this structure.
Yeah, before they
Okay.
became more political.
Yeah.
I felt like what he was saying, leadership was more about the people, the community, the future of the country and all of that, until people became more selfish and more political with the whole leadership.
They had more
thing.
access to their leaders than we do now.
Before, yeah. Oh, okay.
Want us to do, basically we got three options. Option A, we can start rolling tanks in and kick off World War III right now. Option B, we
Just
can
like
just
that.
leave the Berlin people there to die. And option C, we can try to fly in as much food and supplies as possible, but getting enough to feed an entire city is basically going to be impossible. What do you want to do? Now obviously I'm paraphrasing a little, but Truman basically said, we're America, we don't start world wars, we just finish them. Also, and I quote, we stay in Berlin. Period. Which narrows it down to one single option. They are going to fly in enough food and enough supplies to try to feed all of West Berlin. Here's the catch with that. The American leadership has absolutely no idea what that's going to take or how to even proceed. So they go to the British government, who has just spent the last decade rationing their own people, and they have a great understanding of what it takes to keep a large population of people fed and warm. So Great Britain crunches the numbers, and they figure to get every single person in West Berlin 1,700 calories a day, it's going to be 1,500 tons of food every single day. In addition to that, since the power got cut off, they're going to need 2,500 tons of coal and fuel every single day. Okay, 4,000 tons, just so we're all on the same page, that is 8 million pounds of supplies every single day just to keep everyone alive. And the best cargo plane they have to work with at this point in time is the C-47 Skytrain, which has a maximum capacity of 3 tons, meaning that they are going to have to land 1,333 cargo planes into Berlin every single day. To put that into
Lord of
perspective,
Jesus.
there's only
not possible.
1,440 minutes in a day, meaning that one plane has to...
no, did you know what you're saying?
They cut off from the Western world which means landing is next to impossible.
Possible.
Mhm.
And they need to land 1,333 times a
Every
day.
day.
And we only
Every
have
day.
100
How
and
many
40
airports
something
do you have
thousand.
there?
It's not about
It's not about the
airports.
airport, about who is going to grant them permission to land
To
on
land.
that soil.
They are not permitted to land.
To land in their own soil.
Yes.
No, with the
In
Western
Berlin.
in
The
Berlin.
Westerns are
The
not
Western-
allowed
Okay,
to land
oh
in
yeah,
Berlin
yeah.
to actually provide the aid that it needs
Oh,
to keep
yeah,
its
yeah.
people fed.
So just going to drop people from the sky.
Oh my
They
goodness.
can't even
So one
suspend.
plane per minute.
They can't
It's not. I feel like it's not possible.
they can't even cross their boundary because it's going to cost
World War III.
Yeah.
To land every minute and 8 seconds. This is impossible. Despite that, the newly formed United States Air Force says, hold my nuclear bombs.
I want to go back a little.
This
You said
meaning that
something.
one plane has perspective, there's only 1,440 minutes in a day, meaning that one plane has to land every minute and 8 seconds. This is impossible. Despite that, the newly
Precisely.
formed United States Air Force says, hold my nuclear bombs and watch this shit, because on June 26, 1948, 2 days after the Soviet blockade, they launch Operation Vittles, where they are going to try to feed an entire city via cargo plane. 2 days after that, June 28th, the UK says, hey, we're going to help too, and the RAF launches Operation Planefair, and together this becomes known as the Berlin Airlift, and right out of the gate, it is a complete and utter shit show. They're trying to fly in planes from absolutely everywhere. It is disorganized chaos. There's planes crashing. There's mid-air collisions. It's a complete
They're just
disaster,
landing
and on their best
everywhere.
day, they're maybe able to get 1,000 tons of supplies, less than a fifth of what they need. Now, at this point, the conditions in Berlin are getting worse and worse by the day. The communists are essentially laughing at the stupid capitalist pigs, at which point America calls up one of its main characters, a man by the name of General William Tunner.
Why do I get goosebumps immediately they say they
call
call
the-
the
the
general?
way it works.
Like this is about to get some. It's about to get real.
All right, this is a guy that coordinated all the logistics of getting supplies into China during World War II when they had to fly over the Himalayas.
love
If
that.
anybody
Told
can
you.
unfuck this situation, it's gonna be him. And that's exactly what he does. So General Tunner comes in and he's like, here's the deal. We're gonna fly these planes like we're conducting an orchestra. There's 3 air channels to Berlin. The 2 on the outside are gonna be planes going to Berlin, and the one in the middle is gonna be planes leaving Berlin. For the 2 air channels going into Berlin, we're gonna launch 1 plane every 3 minutes all day, every single day, and those planes are going to fly at 5 separate altitudes, staggering every single time to give them just enough time to land. The Germans on the receiving end of this are like, we're literally starving to death, we got to help out the Americans and the British with this, so they show up and they start unloading the cargo planes for them, and they get so good at unloading these planes that they can unload all 3 tons of cargo in under 7 minutes and help get the planes turned around and sent back out. And this turns into one of the most beautiful humanitarian team
Honestly.
effort moments in human history.
It's
There's
human
American
history.
and
I can't actually believe the Western, like they come together to help
The
Germany
Germans,
and
honestly,
Britain.
to be
And
frank.
it's like 2 years or 3 years after the World War II, because we know, okay, sorry, the Germans actually started the whole, not the Germans,
Don't call it
The
and
Nazi.
seeing the Nazi, and I'm seeing Americans and every other Western
even
country.
UK that got
like
attacked.
to
help out.
Seriously.
Nah, this is.
There was a video we watched that said, I think the 13 hours that
That's
saved.
I feel like Americans and UK they have saved the world countless number of
Countless
times,
times.
including their enemies. I know this will be hard for some people to take in and to accept, but that's just the truth. They've showed up in very sensitive times.
And people don't say it. It's only the worst they say.
I might actually sound cruel saying this, but the truth is this: I don't really think I have it in me to help someone that literally tried to kill me a few weeks ago, a few years ago.
That's
No.
some different type of love.
Yeah.
British pilots, aircrew members, mechanics, all just showing up in West Germany without even being called to help with this effort and to fly and repair these planes to keep them going around the clock. And then over in Berlin, the same thing is happening. There's Luftwaffe airplane mechanics showing up to help repair the American and British cargo planes to keep everything running. The 2 sides that were fighting against each other just a few years ago are now working together to save people. Everybody involved in this operation
It's all
gets
about
so good at what they're doing that the
At the
choke
end of
point
the
that's
day.
At
holding
the end of the day, it's all about people. The day we remember this in humanity, the day will go far. Sorry for that pause.
Up even more progress is that they don't have enough airfields to land the planes on. So the Germans straight up build another one. The only problem with that was there was this big ass apartment building in the way, and when the pilots lowered their landing gear would only clear that apartment roof by like 20 feet, which seems like it would be kind of terrifying. So the Germans are like, hey, you want us to rip that apartment building down? What do you guys want us to do? And the American and RAF pilots are like, bro, we just got done flying in World War II with you guys and the Japanese shooting at us. The apartment's gonna be fine, trust me. And sure enough, they start not only hitting, but exceeding the quota of 4,500 tons a day. And this infuriates the Soviets. This is the biggest economic and logistical flex of all time. It shouldn't even be possible, and yet America, the UK, and the people of West Berlin are somehow pulling it off. At this point, the Soviets decide they have to try to do something to stop this, so they start sending up all their fighter planes to try to mess with all the American and British cargo pilots by flying too close. They're basically trying to mess up air traffic, cause accidents, do anything they can to slow down this logistical miracle. However, it doesn't really work. Why? Because the American and British pilots know that it's basically a bluff, because it's essentially a giant game of fuck around and find out, because if the Soviets actually do anything, it's going to kick off World War III, and at this point in time, America is the only country on the planet that has nuclear bombs and a president that's not afraid to use them. Okay, if you're not picking up what I'm putting down, I'm trying to tell you that the American and RAF pilots are flying with the confidence of knowing that if one of these Soviets shoots them down, President Truman is going to bitch slap their entire country with the sun. Needless to say, they were unfazed by the Soviet harassment. How unfazed were they? Thank you so much for asking. Cue our next main character, Gail Halvorson, aka the Candy Bomber. He was one of the many pilots that was flying supplies into Berlin, and somewhere along the way he decided that he was going to start dropping candy bars with little handkerchief parachutes out of the window of his plane over West Berlin so that the kids could get some candy. And eventually this caught on, and all the kids were waiting where the planes would fly over, hoping that they would get a candy bar. Then the American government caught on, and they're like, oh shit, this is a great propaganda opportunity. Imagine what it would be like if every single plane was dropping candy out of it. So that's exactly what they do. They start dropping a bunch of candy out of every plane, and then they make propaganda out of it. But then it gets bigger because all the American candy companies start sponsoring it and donating even more candy.
Stop it!
Humanity at its best.
Okay, we need a minute so nobody will lose. Yeah.
Alright.
Yeah, Miko. Just let it out. Let it out. Are you okay now?
Why you looking at me now?
Sorry for that pause.
Candy to drop. And then it gets bigger because all the kids in America and the UK start raising money at school to buy candy to give to the kids of Germany, and they're giving out even more candy. And the Soviets have to stand there and watch as the Americans and the British are not only flying in a literal Costco worth of shit into West Berlin every single day, but they're dropping candy out of their planes like it's a fucking parade the entire time. And this is all going on while East Germany and East Berlin is eating potatoes and standing in bread lines, and it makes the Soviets look like the biggest assholes on the planet. Because not only are the people of East Germany watching the Western world essentially move heaven and earth to help out West Berlin, they're also watching the Soviets be more interested in disrupting America and the UK from helping people than they are in helping the people of East Germany. In short, America and the UK are playing to win, and the Soviets are playing to not lose, and it is leading to a lower quality of life for all of East Germany. As it turns out, Sun Tzu was yet again correct when he said, the sun may rise in the east, but it sets in the west, and that's because West Side is the best side.
That's not what it
Oh, the best side.
means. Not even close.
That might have been Ice Cube, actually. Anyways, so now in retaliation for all this, America and the UK and pretty much the entire Western world are gonna...
Sorry. Did you notice his shirt?
Communism.
The fuck?
put a bunch of embargoes on the Soviet Union and punish them financially and economically. Now, the Soviets absolutely cannot afford this, but they keep telling themselves, it's okay, winter is coming, and as soon as winter gets here, they're not going to be able to land all these planes, and this whole thing's going to fall apart. We just have to wait out long enough for winter to slow down America and the UK. So that's what they do. They just try to shoulder the financial burden and wait for winter to come and put a stop to this entire thing. Winter comes, and winter, it does slow down some of the flights, but here's the catch. America was also developing bigger, better cargo planes, and now America isn't just flying the C-47, America's flying their new cargo plane, the C-74 Globemaster, and as opposed to the previous C-47 carrying only 3 tons, the Globemaster can carry 25. So despite the fact that weather can sometimes delay flights, America and the UK continue to improve and increase the amount of supplies that they are delivering daily. And by Easter Sunday, 1949, they would break their own record, landing 1,383 planes in a single day, delivering 13,000 tons of supplies, which is 26 million pounds, which obviously is like 11.8 million kilograms, or roughly 87 blue whales. Yeah, the United States Air Force and the RAF shipped 87 blue whales worth of crap into West Berlin in a single day, and because of this, it becomes very apparent to the Soviet Union that America can and will keep this shit up forever if they have to, and they are finally forced to give up the blockade because they cannot shoulder the financial burden anymore, and that would come down on May 12th, 1949. And with the roads and railways to West Berlin finally open once again, the Berlin Airlift would come to an end after 15 months, 277,000 flights, spanning 92,000 miles, and delivering 2.3 million tons of aid, which is roughly 4.6 billion pounds, or 15,333.333333333 blue whales. This is the greatest logistical and humanitarian feat ever accomplished, and the Western world did it with communism doing everything it could to slow it down. So in conclusion, fuck communism. The best way to support the channel is go buy some merch at thefatelectrician.com. Quack bang, out. And then the Soviet Union got all pissy and built a wall through the middle of Germany, and that's what we're going to talk about next.
Nah, I'm gonna wait.
Very simple.
Yeah, I'm waiting to the end. I learned the hard way. Well, I guess that's the end.
You know, somebody's
The last time we actually, ended the video while we thought the video has ended. We didn't know there was some snippets
Okay, at the end.
Um,
I really love the way you do it.
honestly, see, I'll say this and I'll say this over and over again. The Americans, the UK, they have a freaking big heart.
Yeah, they
That
do.
kindness is just too much.
I don't know how they do it. Especially, let me talk about the UK in particular. They were under siege. When I watched the video about how they were under siege for 13 hours, I wept. Children were hiding. Bombs were dropping day after day after day. But yet, they stood up
To help.
to help. I don't know how they do it. I just don't know. Because I know, see, no matter how good I think I am, I don't even think I'm that good. I'm human. I'm sorry to say this. I'm human.
I personally, I think that I personally feel like the UK, the Americans, they actually prioritize peace
Over war.
over war to a very large extent
Extent.
compared to most countries. Even if I want to say that they are being futuristic in the decisions they make, or in decisions they made, or the decisions they've been making rather, it's beyond being futuristic because I mean when you look at German and the previous World War, I mean, I don't think they are deserving of this kind of love if you look at the role they played. And I mean, this is just a fact, right? But for them to go out of their way is beyond saying, oh, these people, we can have a future with them, to partner with them. It's possible they can change and something good can come out of them. It's just a sheer expression of love.
No.
I almost, when Stella said this is love, I was like, is this really love? Because I was trying to look at other possibilities why they would take this kind of decision for people who instigated and caused the same crisis they found themselves in, right? But I think this is the height of it. The UK have done a lot. Ending slavery, American have done a lot, humanitarian service and all.
Even
But this
up until
one blew my mind. I mean,
Yeah.
how can you be good to your, they are not enemies, but how can you be good to such kind of person in such kind of time?
Even when they are trying to stop you from doing the good that you want to do, you
Against
still want
all
to do the good.
This is the height of love.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for sticking around to this part. And if you're still here, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment on this YouTube channel. And if you like to see behind the scene, get priority, join our membership, and you get access to a lot of things behind the scene, especially of how they cried while we're off the camera. Thank you, and see you on our next update. For now, remain blessed and
Bye.